Good evening, everyone. It's our Sunday evening guided meditation. And this is also a lunar observance night, and so following the lunar calendar, each lunar quarter we offer something as well. Dhamma talk, typically, but won't be offering a whole talk tonight. We'll maybe just do a slightly enhanced guided meditation, maybe offer a little reflection afterwards, see how it goes. So it's not going to be a long evening. We'll begin with chanting and then guided meditation. And so this evening the chanting, we'll be chanting the teaching on mindfulness of breathing. This is the sutta, the teaching that the Buddha offered on the mindfulness of breathing. That begins on page 85 in the dark brown volume. So we have 2 volumes. So the dark brown volume, page 85. And that's in Pali and English, line by line. So. One thing very, very notable about this teaching contained in this chanting is, often many of us, I think a lot of us, when we started meditating, would probably have been using the mindfulness of breathing, but it's very notable that how much depth there is in this teaching. It's not just about trying to concentrate on the breath or just be aware of breathing, but it's got a full and very rich body of reflection on the actual Dhamma teachings that will release us from suffering and stress. So just to maybe keep an eye out for that while we're chanting this. So. Andamayang anapanasati sutapatang banamase anapanasati bhikkhave bhavita bahulikata. Because when mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, mahapala hoti mahani sangsa, it is of great fruit and great benefit. Anapanasati bhikkhave bhavita bahulikata. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated,
Jataro satipatthane paripureti. It fulfills the four foundations of mindfulness. Jataro satipatthana bhavita bahulikata. When the four foundations of mindfulness are developed and cultivated, Satta bojange paripurenti, they fulfill the seven factors of awakening. Satta bojanga bhavita bahulikata. When the seven factors of awakening are developed and cultivated, Vijja vimutting paripurenti, they fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. Gatang bhavita cha bhikkhave yana panasadikatam bahulikata. And how, because his mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated, Mahapala hoti mahani sansa, so that it is of great fruit and great benefit. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu, here bhikkhus of bhikkhu, aranyagatoa, gone to the forest, Rugamulagatoa, to the foot of a tree, Sunyagaragatoa, or to an empty hut, Nisidati palankang habuditva, sits down having crossed his legs, Ujung kayang panidaya parimukang sating upatapetva, sets his body erect, having established mindfulness in front of him. So sato wa asasati sato wa pasasati, ever mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. Digang wa asasanto, digang asasamiti pajanati. Breathing in long, he knows I breathe in long. Digang wa pasasanto, digang pasasamiti pajanati. Breathing out long, he knows I breathe out long. Rasang wa asasanto, rasang asasamiti pajanati. Breathing in short, he knows I breathe in short. Rasang wa pasasanto, rasang pasasamiti pajanati. Breathing out short, he knows I breathe out short. Sambhakaya pati sangvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, experiencing the whole body. Sabbakaya pati sangvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body. Pasambayang kaya sankara asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily formations. Basambayang kaya sankara basasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formations. Pitipati sangvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us, I shall breathe in, experiencing rapture. Piti pati samvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, experiencing rapture. Sukapati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, experiencing pleasure. Sukapati samvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, experiencing pleasure. Chitta sankarapati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, experiencing the mental formations. Chitta sankarapati samvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, experiencing the mental formations. Pasambayang chitta sankarang asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the mental formations. Pasambayang chitta sankarang pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the mental formations. Chittapati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, experiencing the mind. Chittapati samvedi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, experiencing the mind. Abhippamodayang chittang asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, gladdening the mind. Abhippamodayang chittang pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, gladdening the mind. Samadahang chittang asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, concentrating the mind. Samadahang chittang pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, concentrating the mind. Vimochayang chittang asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, liberating the mind. Vimochayang chittang pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, liberating the mind. Anicca nupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, contemplating impermanence. Anicca nupasi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, contemplating impermanence. Viraga nupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in, contemplating the fading away of passions. Viraga nupasi pasasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out, contemplating the fading away of passions. Nirodha nupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in contemplating cessation. Nirodha nupasi passasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe out contemplating cessation. Bhatinisaka nupasi asasi samiti sikati. He trains us. I shall breathe in contemplating relinquishment. Bhatinisaka nupasi passasi samiti sikati. He trains us.
I shall breathe out
contemplating relinquishment. Evaṁ bhavitako bhikkhave yanapanasati evaṁ bahulikata. Because that is how mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated. Mahabala hoti mahani sansati, so that it is of great fruit and great benefit.
So establish posture which supports you, supports each of us. We need to find the posture that works for us. So whether that's sitting in a chair, on a bench, cushions, extra cushions. It's good to give ourselves a good chance to establish this posture, not to do it overly quickly. It's useful also to establish a posture that we can maintain for long periods of time without hurting ourselves. We don't want to do damage to the body, obviously. So taking time to, now that we feel we've established a posture, to just with our bodily awareness, just check and make sure that we're not leaning side to side or front to back, or if we're using a chair, if possible, to just check that we're not slumping in a chair, that we actually have a quote-unquote proper posture. already we're using mindfulness to establish a posture. I like to suggest that this is not separate from our meditation, but it is part of the meditation. As we just chanted, to be aware of the whole body. So this teaching is called mindfulness of breathing, but breathing is the body. But then it also introduces this spectrum of awareness to contemplate things like impermanence, contemplate relinquishment, cessation. So not just restricted to the breath. Not at all, actually. So calming the bodily formations, to calm the body, using this posture, settle, tranquil. Nothing to do. Except be mindful. Let's take a few minutes to scan our body for any unnecessary tension or holding, any residual tension. I tend to do this starting at the top of my head, working way down, all the way through to the fingertips and toes. But maybe you prefer starting opposite, doesn't matter. Let's just in our own time scan, and if we notice something that can be released, physically release. So there's a bodily relaxation, which in turn will encourage us to be relaxed inwardly. as we give ourselves this opportunity for the calming bodily energies, relative stillness, yet the body is still pulsing and breathing. Using mindfulness of breathing, it's placing our attention on something that's so utterly natural and typically uninteresting, and that is a great benefit. Breathing is just breathing. This teaching encourages us to be mindful. Is the breath, is it long or is it short? And just be aware. We're not changing it to make it what we think it should be, but we're just noticing what it is on each breath, because it will change. So for these next minutes, just be with one breath at a time. Try to note the beginning of an in-breath. And just follow it through to the end of the in-breath. And then vice versa, beginning through to the end of the out-breath. And we can notice this breathing, whatever part of our body we find most comfortable. Abdomen, rib cage, throat, nostrils. It doesn't matter. But find one place that's easeful. And rest our attention there. And when the mind wanders, we return back to that same place of just noticing the breath. And we notice we've wandered, our thoughts. We recognize that, we return to the breath. Over and over like this. Calm. practicing like this, we're reducing adding new agitations to the mind and heart. Then we can more clearly see agitations that we've already experienced. Things in the mind, memory, or maybe present moment. Maybe we're experiencing something bodily that's creating agitation in the mind. Or we hear something. These ripples. But we needn't make a problem of those things. Calmly witness the arising and fading away of sense impressions. A phrase I find quite helpful. Consciousness witnessing change. Consciousness witnessing change. Things coming and going in consciousness. At the moment we're using the breath, calming the bodily formations and the mental formations, thoughts and feelings. There's a natural settling to a certain degree, sometimes more, sometimes less, calming, settling. Providing an opportunity to see more clearly the things that obstruct our well-being. Obstruct inner balance. Consciousness witnessing change. comparing our mind, our consciousness like the sky. Today we had heaps of blue sky. Sometimes a cloud would come, it came, it lingered and it went. Birds, airplanes, insects. The sky didn't change. Things came and they went, left no trace. All that we can say is that we can remember perception of breath comes and goes. Maybe a memory comes up, a thought comes and goes. Impermanent. Arises and ceases. Sights coming and going when our eyes are open. Or maybe mental images coming and going. Sounds. Different scents. The smell of the incense. All of the different sense faculties, perceiving, noticed in the mind, fading away. Flowing. patiently witness our present moment experience. Within this frame of calmness. And patiently notice what comes and goes. Some of it we'll like, some of it we won't like. But instead of overly being concerned with the content of what enters into consciousness, we're resting in consciousness. There's awareness, consciousness, this knowing, and there's the objects that come and go. They're not the same. Consciousness and objects in consciousness are two different things. So we're cultivating this ability to allow the flow of objects through consciousness. Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, tactile sensations, memories, emotions. The delightful, the difficult to bear. Readjusting our senses, particularly if we've had our eyes closed, which is most likely during our meditation. Readjusting. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the evening, tonight is also a lunar observance night. We normally offer a talk. I'll just offer a short reflection, and then we'll do a little bit of chanting to close the evening. I think one of the more common experiences as meditators is a sort of tendency to rate our meditation. This was a good meditation, or this was a bad meditation, and or I'm a good meditator. I'm not a good meditator. This giving a rating, a value to something, and oftentimes, because I know I've done this, I'm very familiar with it. My first few years of meditation, in particular, that was a rubbish meditation. So many thoughts were coming to my mind. And so I'd made an enemy of thinking. I'd made an enemy of the content in my mind, because I had this idea that you should be able to sit down, and if you're a good meditator, you could sit down, and before too long you could just not have any more thinking, and you could sit through until the bell rings, ding, and then you allowed to think again. This is how my mind worked. Now, maybe nobody else has had this experience, but a lot of people do speak to me and share their experiences, and it sounds fairly similar. And then that can be very disheartening. We can think, I've been doing this for such and such amount of time, and I'm not getting anywhere because I'm still thinking. But these human minds, they're extraordinary. They really are. The speed of the thought processes is just amazing. And to me, that's one of the great interesting things about meditating, especially seated meditation, or any type of meditation where we're focusing or placing our attention on something repetitive, like walking meditation also. If you're just walking meditation, 25, 30 paces, whatever, maybe we make the determination to just feel each breath, each footprint on the ground, each footstep, or maybe we're using the mantra as we're walking, Buddho, silently saying Buddho, Buddho, and then you get halfway across halfway down your walking meditation path, and you're thinking about something entirely different. Maybe just thinking about whatever. The mind is it's amazingly fast, and seated meditation, I find in particular, my own experience, is that one of the benefits of using something as so simple as the breath is that you see that tendency of the mind to just move. Just moves. So this is our habit. This is also just this amazing speed of the mind. And in meditator circles, that refer to the monkey mind. And if we've ever been to the zoo or seen monkeys in the wild, you see monkeys are all over the place usually. Amazing. Here and there and up the tree and around here and around the pole and down there, and they're all over the place. So that monkey mind. But instead of trying to tie down the monkey, I like to think, well, let's just give it a smaller range. Let's just maybe give it a nice natural pen, nothing too tight. It can move a little bit. It can move around, but we can still see it. It's small enough range that we can see it. So I find that, I'm just using metaphors here obviously, but that just by using the breath, by making that gentle intention to be noticing the breath, is it then that gives us, when we stray from the breath, when our attention strays from that, then we've noticed. We've kind of given ourselves a range. And then we just, okay, I was with the breath and now I'm not with the breath. And okay, I notice now, and then we bring it back. So it's within our range. And hopefully, and sometimes it can really, the mind can stray for quite a long time. As I was somewhat lightheartedly saying today at the question and answer period at the tea time, sometimes when maybe we're meditating and somebody else, maybe it's one of these group meditations and 45 minutes or whatever, and maybe we've drifted off quite far and quite long, and then somebody rings the bell, and we're like, wow, where was I? I was pretty far out there. It can happen. But right then and there is also an opportunity. Like, what does our mind do with that? Do we beat ourselves up and start berating ourselves? Like, you're so hopeless, ahimsako. You've been meditating 32 years and your mind you were off in California someplace thinking about this and that. So if I don't notice what I'm doing to myself in that moment, so okay, now mindfulness is back, we're back in the present moment, but we have a perfect opportunity to see what the mind does with that. So this is where mindfulness, if we're mindful, we really never lose in terms of Dhamma practice. We can learn from everything. Every experience. So that isn't that interesting that I'm beating myself up for this, that I'm judging myself for this, I'm labeling myself for this. So take an interest in that. Instead of beating yourself up for doing that, then you're compounding our suffering. Instead of, isn't that interesting? That's interesting conditioning. Be mindful of that. And let it go. To not hang on to that. Even if it comes back. That's a habit. So especially if we see it over and over again, over time, to see the habits of mind. That's another, in our scriptural language, this word sankhara, which has various translations. Sometimes it's mental formation, sometimes habitual formation, sometimes volitional formations, different things. But I think that it's interesting to actually consider all of those. That's that habitual. So much of our life is habitual. The habitual ways of considering things, and meditation can really, through that clear seeing and noticing, and that's why meditation practice over not just weeks and months, but years. We see patterns. And so it's not about wiping out and trying to exterminate patterns, but to understand them as conditioned things. And by clearly seeing what we're doing, is that there's this natural fading away. Like in the chanting we did, the fading away of passions, the fading away of things. We don't give it any fuel anymore. We don't feed it with more compounded habitual reactions. We see it for what it is. Oh, that's just an old habit. This is something I picked up in life. Some sort of habit of relating to my experience. And so then when that impulse comes up, we've taken away the fuel. We've taken away the fuel. And just like a campfire, if a well-prepared campfire, we've swept and raked around it, and you can have a lovely roaring fire and sparks come out, but there's no fuel for that fire to spread because just won't spread. There's nothing to feed it. So by altering our relationship to impulse, by noticing, by being mindful of impulses, of these thoughts and thoughts triggered by feelings, or just thoughts bubbling up on their own. So thoughts of, especially unwholesome, but we can attach equally to wholesome things. If we're so attached to wholesomeness and goodness that we suffer, instead of being wholesome, experiencing wholesome, nurturing wholesome without attachment, we can identify, oh, I'm wholesome. We can form a whole identity and be attached to our own sense of goodness. Now, does that mean to stop being wholesome? No. Do it. Act wholesomely, think wholesomely, but we don't cling, because even clinging to the best of things can be an obstacle to our well-being. But it's more the unwholesome that where that's obviously we don't cultivate that when those thoughts and feelings and perceptions come up. Yeah, don't give it any fuel. So through mindfulness, see it, feel it, but don't feed it. Something wholesome comes up, feed it, nurture it, but don't attach to it. Don't form an identity. And as I mentioned at the beginning, that this when we chanted this teaching on mindfulness of breathing, I think it's pretty safe to say that most of us, our first experience of meditation was probably mindfulness of breathing. And just to reiterate, it's got this vast array, it's got these different reflections within that. Breathing in, and to contemplate cessation, to contemplate impermanence, to contemplate relinquishment, to be aware of the mind, to aware of the body, aware of tranquilizing. There's many aspects of using the meditation of mindfulness, and yet so many of us, as I was saying earlier in this short reflection, so many of us trying to exterminate thinking. Just use the breath to not think or to not feel. That might happen, and then we can use that as that might be the goal for some of us for meditation, but it's not the goal of what the Buddha was teaching. The goal is liberation of the heart and mind. Using the breath meditation is a tool. So as I was saying at tea time, to not confuse the tool with the goal. Use the tools, develop the tools, but to to realize the goal. And the goal is unconditional liberation of the heart. Liberation, freedom from suffering, which is not based on conditions. It's not based on being in some place quiet. It's not based on... Quietude is a tool. We use quietude to develop this reality of being able to be anywhere at any time and still stay clear, balanced, being able to discern between suffering and non-suffering. And we can do this. We can do this. Each of us has this opportunity. And we're interested. Otherwise we wouldn't be in this room and we wouldn't be logged in on YouTube. If we weren't interested, we wouldn't be here. So all the ingredients, the ingredients of developing and realizing this liberation, all the elements are available to us now, and that's amazing. So let's just offer those words as to encourage all of us. And when I offer these reflections, I'm offering it to myself as well, reminding myself of these opportunities and these aspects of Dhamma practice. So before we part company this evening, we'll chant. Let's chant the highest blessings. That's the Mangala Sutta in English. That's on page 46. This is another lovely, I find, very beautiful teaching, very practical. Well, it goes right from being very practical to the most lofty of realizing Nibbana, but offering us encouragement of how to live so that we can realize this ultimate and unconditional peace. So page 46. Now let us chant the verses on the highest blessings. Thus have I heard that the Blessed One was staying at Savatthi, residing at the Chithurst in another Vindhya's part. Then in the dark of the night, the radiant Deva illuminated all Chithurst grove. She bowed down low before the Blessed One. Then standing to one side, she said, Devas are concerned for happiness. although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind. Although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. Beyond all sorrow. So there's contact. We can flow with life. We don't need to hide away. We can have contact. Unshaken the mind remains. Beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. Sounds good. Okay, let's do closing homage in Pali English. That's on page 16 in the same book.
Dhammang namasami. I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno